Dive right in.
Mhm.
All right, fantastic. It officially has let us know that we are live now. Thank you so much, everybody who is tuning in live, and to everybody who's going to be watching the session afterwards. Thank you very much for making the optimization era a part of your day today. My name is Nico from Scribe, and today I am extremely honored to have with us Victor Fang, Dr. Victor Fang, I apologize, founder of Onchain AI. Victor, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you. If you could tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and a little about what your day-to-day looks like.
Awesome. Hey, hi everyone. Glad to be here. I'm Victor, CEO and founder of AnChain AI. The name implies analyze blockchain with AI. So we're a Silicon Valley startup founded in 2018. So my role as a CEO, a little bit about my background, right? So I got Ph.D. in computer science, specializing in AI when nobody believed that. By the way, I'm older than I look. So being through like, for example, building great AI products for like Google Mendings and away security and all that. And yeah, starting from 2018, right? VC-backed companies start building laser focusing on the building the AI to fight the fraud and streamline the compliance. So yeah, my day is super packed as a founder and the CEO. So the couple of things, right? So I have to run the company. So there's a lot of operations, and including like right now we are raising funding. So a lot of conversations with potential investors and all that, and customers. I love our customers, and I think we just have announced a few other customer, like for example, Nuva and Animoca, right? It was live. So we've been spending a lot of time with them on the integrations and all that. It's amazing to see our AI is helping to streamline their AML, anti-money laundering, compliance and detecting frauds and all that. And yeah, and then the fun part, I really spending time with my engineers and investigators like Philips and my teams, and to really get to see the cool things they're building. And also like the fourth thing I'm doing is I have to catch up with AI. Although I have got a PhD in AI, it's kind of embarrassing. Like wow, what I learned, the stuff I learned, it's called machine learning. Now we're into agentic AI, and yeah, I have to make sure I'm up to date with all that, so I don't embarrass myself. So,
Well, I am very honored and happy to have you here too. Who better to have on a part of a conversation talking all about the future of work, how work is getting done nowadays versus how it will get done in the future, other than somebody who's been, I'd be happy to call you one of the forefathers of AI because you've been doing it for a while. You've been really making a lot of strides. Chain AI is incredible. So thank you very much, first and foremost, for just joining this conversation and helping other people get up to speed as well too. So I appreciate you sharing your expertise that way. I love the fact. I'd love to start off a little bit too, just to figure out. You had mentioned that a lot of time you do a lot of work with your current employees, your engineers. You're figuring out how they're getting done. You're up leveling yourself. I'm curious how you're currently attempting to understand workflows that people are doing today, like in your company. Are you happy with the approach that you're currently taking?
hmm. So I mean, twofold to it. Like I think maybe I should better use like the way how we help our customers, right? So basically, I mean, like as you may know, anti-money laundering and all this like cybersecurity, a lot of the practices is actually workflow driven. There's very strict steps they have to go through, right, to get the job done. Like for example, in our sector, right? So it's like uh, intelligence, investigation, and reporting. So those key components, right? No matter what you do, you fall under all these three key components. So observing how the people, like the analyst, the investigator, and all that, right? How they're using that, how they're
Sure.
doing the job using their current tool, and systemize it, right? So I'm a I'm an electrical engineering and in undergrad, so everything to me is a system, right? So it's input and output and this system there in the middle, right? And then to understand like how they're doing that now and describe into break it down into key components, and then we start putting some metrics and evaluations and all that to make sure that hey, anything we build out, right? We try to automate things. We try to make it more efficient and more affordable and all that, right? More effective. So we have to put some metrics in place. And this is the practice we've been doing, right? So I think we're seeing great results, for example, right? 6x or to like even like sometimes 1000x of improvement when you actually
Wow.
get down to all these automations and all that. Like, yeah.
Wow.
So that's the workflow to analyze workflow.
Fantastic. I love to hear it. That's great. I love the fact too that you had mentioned, just sort of the observation part of it and just figuring out how people are actually doing that. That's a big thing that one of our CEO, Jennifer Smith, she often notes that oftentimes people see AI failing when companies jump straight into automation without actually understanding the problem, especially when a lot of work is invisible. A lot of things people are running on autopilot. They're not documenting what they're doing. I'm curious, like, given all of this, what do you think organizations misunderstand the most about bringing AI into their existing workflows?
Oh, so I mean, I think so. First of all, workflow is not linear, and especially when you come to, although I mentioned the those three components, but it's an entire graph. And again, I abstract a lot out of real world, right? But at the other end, it's not linear. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's that, then dude, you got the easiest job in the world to be automated, and it's probably already being automated. If not, right? So, um,
Sure.
I think, yeah. So it's not linear. So how do you model it? At the end of the day, keep the value and the results, right? The impact. What's your result? Start with a goal, not start. Don't start with the technology. Start with a goal. What exactly are we going to create? What exact value are we going to bring to the customers? What impact are we doing, right? For the customer, for the world. So with that in mind, and yeah, and then technology, it comes as secondary, right? So I think that's like what Jennifer said is absolutely correct, right? And another thing I want to echo on is invisible side of the workflow, right? Like a lot of the time, if we talk to those analysts and all that, and even like threat hunter, they're so used to the tool, and if you ask them, hey, I mean, what do you think about your current tools and all that, they will still think that their mindset will start from, hey, how do I tweak this UI button to make it better and all that. But you know what? Sometimes there's a huge debate right now in the Silicon Valley, right? The UI. What would be the future form of software and the interface of software, right? It's probably not going to be a search box anymore, or it's not going to be a chat bot anymore, right? But what is it going to look like? We don't know, right? So, but we will figure that out. I think people will figure that out. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that you had already hinted to just at what the future holds as well. Because I think so oftentimes, even nowadays, people are still, like you said, trying to catch up from, wait, hold on. I thought AI was machine learning to all of a sudden now you're adding on this agentic piece. There's many more complex workflows that are going on too. So I'm curious too, with all of the noise that's currently going on, like how do you cut through that and approach it? How do you stay up to date on what's currently new and what's going on there?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there is a lot of noise. And my job also is just try to distill it, right? So, but I think if you focus on like, okay, the nice thing about us is we are in this very tiny little niche vertical called the crypto investigation and AML compliance, right? So
Mhm.
I think we go very deep into the stack and we basically build out everything we have. And I mean, so yeah, I mean, when you get down to those details and insights and all that, it's actually, yeah, I mean, you're going to see the AI, the true signal would be what's the impact you're making to the customers, right?
Sure.
For example, the investigation is, are we able to catch the bad guy? Are we able to analyze this entire the exploit, how it happened, right? And you know what?
Sure.
Back then, there was like we have to put two full-time investigators for 3 months on those very sophisticated DeFi investigations, and now we can actually some of them we can do it within minutes or hours. So those are the impact we're seeing, and those are the real signal we're seeing. And there's a lot of noise out there for sure, but I think stick with your problem, stick with how you create value to your customers, and I think that's probably the best approach. And Yeah,
I
we're
love that.
proud of the vertical we're in, the impact we're making, right? We're trusted by the U.S. government and all the different, like even the private sector, right? Financial service and all that. So yeah,
That's fantastic. I
open
love
to the
too that you
spin-off.
had brought I love you brought that up because in our first interview for the optimization era, Hori, she had mentioned too, one of the common things that she does every time she approaches a new client or somebody is she says, you have to fall in love with the problem. You have to truly understand what is the actual thing that we're solving here. What is the right fit here? Maybe it is a chat box LLM for a simple problem. Maybe it is an agentic AI workflow, the things that you're working on for more complex situations too. So I love that you
Yeah.
brought that up again in a different context of really you just have to get in there, understand what we're actually doing, what is the impact for our clients, and how do we make a solution that works for that too. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious too, so you are in, like you had mentioned, a very specific vertical, which obviously would require a very contextual based agent, which would require a lot of data. I assume, if you tried to apply ChatGPT and ask it to do the things that you're working on right now, it would be it would be lost at
Yep.
step one. So I'm curious, when you like, how do you define context related to how AI models actually work?
Yeah, that's another great questions, right? So I think you already touched the point. Like, okay, let me make a give you example, right? The LLM, the OpenAI, and SOPs and all that. Those are like a brand. Those large language model is really like a brand, or entry capacity called the CPU, right? It's the same thing. It's a processing unit, and the second part of it is actually the data, the quality data, right? So we actually, what's funny internally, when we benchmark our results, right? And we got asked by the investors all the time too, right? So it's like, hey, what's your mode and all that. So when we put ChatGPT and the Onchain results side by side, and the Onchain one has the access to our proprietary data, to all the threat intelligence, the label data, the sanction database, for example, and all that, right? And you know what? Like the large language model that you call as a third party APIs and all that, they are trained on the entire internet. They are very general, right? So, but like I said, we are building an AI agent for a very specific use case, right? So we get the benefit of like be more systematic about, hey, what kind of data, what kind of insights, what kind of tools can we bring to this LLM, the brand, so to make it more powerful. So basically those data become like their hands, right? And then also the action. So now the agentic AI, the really differentiating that factor that agentic AI is bringing to our time right now is actually it can act, right? So you have the brain that can reason and plan and get access to data, right? But then now also you can ask it to do things, right? So that's like for example, open claw. I mean, well, there's another negative news came out yesterday, like deleting all your emails, but action, right? So when you have the right guardrail in there, so you can act. So yeah, I mean that's another very interesting aspect of the agentic AI technology that's bringing to us. So
I love that. I
yeah,
love too that you had just mentioned what sets AnChain AI separately, sets it apart is all of the data and information that you're actually feeding it and that you're training it. And so for anybody who's
yeah.
listening and for anybody who might want to get their own AI up and running, their own agentic workflows running, how do you think, like, how would they go about getting that data? What do you think is the best or easiest way for them to actually start building that?
And yeah, again, start with that problem. Don't start with a technology. Start with the problem. What exactly you trying to solve, right? Are you trying to improve your marketing, or you try to like respond to the email more effective, or like us? Okay, we want to be more agile and responsive when there's a major hack happen, right? And or like go really deep into some of the exploits that are happening, like ransomware, malwares, and all that. So start with that, and then when you focus on the problem, right, then you will actually start putting, hey, what's the missing pieces? I mean, most of the time I spend with my team is actually really just put them as a so. I mean, building AI products in the past 15 years, right? Big and large and small. And really, when you start with the problem, then you go back and tell them, okay, probably the result it's not gets good enough that it could
Yeah.
be is because you are missing this data. So now where can we get those data, right? So at the end of the day, like I said, like those large language model are trained on the entire petabyte of internet data, everything, right? So but in the vertical, when you're building, start thinking about what are those specific vertical data that you can bring in, right? Those are the hands and all there's different the insight that the LLM would need. And I mean, when we put it side by side with the OpenAI and Anthropic without any access to those, right? Okay, by the way, the dangerous thing is they will spit out results, but a lot of time are hallucination.
Ooh.
Try it. Like if you try to ask a question, they have no clue. They will still try to answer that, right? But now they have some specific guardrails there, the gating function to actually make sure it don't spit out. But if you're not familiar with all these different transformer technology and all that, it may spit out a result that is totally wrong. It's just because the transformer model, the GPT model does not know what to answer, and they will try to push something up and there will be a wrong result. That's pretty dangerous. It's like in our
Yes.
sector, that's very dangerous. So yeah, I believe that we have figured out most of those problems like hallucination and there's different, like make sure the data is accurate and make sure that it's auditable, right? And then you don't have to trust the result. It's very important that you were able to grill it and then, hey, show me step by step. So those are the reasoning functions, the chain of thoughts, all these different new research that came out that really make a huge difference than a black box machine learning algorithm that I used to build 10 years ago. So
That's amazing. I love too that you had brought up that piece because I think it's a very common, negative part to AI that I think a lot of people overlook sometimes is they think, oh, if AI said it, I can trust it. It's good. But I don't. You probably remember too back when Google started rolling out their AI, people would be able to start tricking it in the search bar. They were like, how many rocks should I eat every day? And instead of having a well-informed answer, it was like you should eat 2 to 3 rocks every day. And people were like, what is going on? Like why is this thing telling me to eat rocks? And it goes back to what you said of, it needs the context, it needs the data, it needs it in a structured way. I love your analogy of it giving hands to this brain. Like it reminds me of like a little Lego figure, and like each
yeah,
piece you add on is like a new, like a new part of the Lego itself to
exactly.
continue building something that'll actually work for you. I love that. Thank you.
Exactly.
I will take that forever as one of my favorite AI metaphors, and ways to think about it too. I love it. So, like you had mentioned, you've been building AIs for a long time. You've been in this field for a long time. You've been, seeing all the new advancements. I'm curious if there's ever been at any point in your career, maybe some like shiny AI or automation project that looked really great on paper, but then when you actually went to go implement it, you couldn't really prove out the ROI or the value of that project. I'm curious if you have any experience with anything like that.
In the history or right now?
Whatever you'd like, whatever you'd prefer. It's completely up to you. I think there's lessons to be learned at any point in time.
Oh, a lot of lesson to be learned, right? So I think to give an example, right now a lot of people are using the LLMs and generative model, transformer model. But back then, let me give you an example, right? So if you play those like Xbox video game, the Kinect that can actually that the Microsoft product that can dictate
Yeah.
your body movements and all that. Those actually are using the random forest model. It works good enough, but that's like the machine learning category now. That call it the OG, like the vintage AI algorithm. If you want to put the AI on that, right? So and those model has a lot of problem, right? I mean, random forest is a whole bunch of trees, that ensemble model that you average out. Eventually, you kind of predict, okay, this is upper, these are upper arms and all that, right? So that's what it's doing. And I mean, it will fail if you play those Xbox video games like me, like 10 years ago, right? So it fail all the time, right? So I mean, but then the new algorithm will come out, better sensors will come out, right? So now, but to give you a more recent example, I mean, the transformer. I mean, we are probably the first few company in Silicon Valley start using the GPT. In our one of the product feature is to analyze the smart contract source code for the SEC and other law enforcement and government agencies and all that. They want to figure out, hey, what this piece of smart contract code really does, right? And is that aligned with what they submitted to the government to review? And I mean, we back then used NLP when we started, like remember, we started a company in 2018. We started building a cool technology using NLP. So basically, like random forest I mentioned. But we get to the point that when GPT-3 came out, well, it's good enough. But then a few months later, 3.5 came out. Wow, that was mind blowing. Like even our team was blown away by wow. Literally, I cannot tell. It's like passing our internal Turing test. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that GPT 3.5 spit out all these function annotations like as good as our guys. And remember, our guys are pretty good when it comes to the smart contracts and all this. It's a very specialized field, right? So
Yeah.
and you know what? Then we scale it up so to annotate a lot more, right? And that's first of all, it save us money, save us time, and to scale out the impact right away, right? So yeah, I mean, and there's like 100 of this kind of interesting, shiny moments that we have as a product guy,
Yeah.
right? As a technologist, and I hope this example will intrigue you.
Yeah, I love it. I love too that you had brought that up just about the fact that I think that's one of the biggest concerns that independent contributors, that some entry level folks are seeing today of what's going to happen? Is AI going to take my job? Like you had mentioned, everybody on your team was very impressed by this thing and how good the quality was, and that was back at 3.5. So I'm curious how you look at the future of how work will happen even today, a year from now, not even a year from now, a couple of months from now, as the models continue to improve and improve upon themselves. So I'm curious what you think the future of work looks like, because I know, a lot of people are very worried about that, are very worried about an LLM being able to take their job or a specialized agent. So what does that look like, and how did the work evolve in that case?
All right, 2 points I want to make. One is I just wrote an article for Forbes on that. Is AI going to take your job or what? So definitely recommend you to read it. The example I gave in the Forbes article is really like when back then when I have to drove by like the Golden Gate Bridge, right? So I have to that was 10 years ago only. I have to stop at the Golden Gate Bridge and pay the toll, right? And
Mhm.
and my daughter even asked me, "Hey, Daddy, is it a good job? Because no matter what car you're driving, you have to stop at the Golden Gate Bridge, pay the toll, and then continue on, right?" I said, "Well, that's probably not a good job because if you look at it, what skill do you get sitting on that seat for like 10 years, for example, right? What you're counting money faster or what, right?" And you know
Mhm.
what? And then one day, it was that moment that I drove by Golden Gate Bridge, and I feel like, today is very different. Why? I just drove through the toll gate without even
Yeah.
stopping.
Uh-huh.
But, and all those toll collectors are gone. It's now the easy pass, right?
Yeah.
And you don't realize it when this kind of moment happen in your life, right? But really, I feel like, there's something strange happened today. What is it? And I was like, oh, holy cow! That those toll collectors, it's gone. And it's exactly
Yeah.
like I told my daughter back then, right? And it just
Mhm.
happened, and nobody even talk about it, right? And like last year, we passed the Turing test. There's no party. There's no party or no ceremonies or anything. We just passed Turing test. Now, I mean, when you
Yeah.
talk to a lot of the chatbot, you cannot even tell is a human or not, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, and then the point I'm making at the end of that article is really, um. So so a lot of people are worried. I think that's definitely that's the right concern, the worry they have. And you know what? Like the quick advice I can give you is like, at the end of the day, the one that's going to take a job is probably not the AI. Is your peer, another human that are better at using the AI to do their job.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah, go and think about it. And yeah, and then the timing, what's going to look like in a year or or that, right? So a couple weeks ago, in the Elon Musk, Jensen Huang, and Dario from Anthropic, all three of them make almost the same prediction. In 12 months, the software engineering professions will be gone. That's a very bold prediction, but I can clearly tell where they're coming from. Like cloud code is getting better and better, right? And GPU, it's like getting cheaper and cheaper, and the compute power has become more and more accessible, right? So
Mhm.
their prediction is in 12 months, the entire software engineering profession will be gone,
Wow.
and that is crazy, right?
Mhm.
I personally, if you ask me if I believe that, I don't think it's gonna be gone, but but even the software engineering, there's so many verticals, right? So if you are building some pretty simple UIs or stuff, those jobs will be, I mean, Lavables and Cloud Code and all that, right? They can do a better job than you and much faster and much cheaper, right?
True.
But there are certain things I still believe that if you have a solid computer science background, right, like that can go a long way. Like for example, when your system fail, only the most the person with a solid experience will figure out, well, is a load balancer issue or is your hardware issues and all that, right? And
Sure.
right now, the AI is probably still very hard to answer those kind of troubleshoot, this kind of large scale systems and all that. But you know what? But probably 80% of the easy jobs will be gone. But I
Wow.
also consider that's a good thing because, well, if your job can be replaced, those specific tasks can be replaced by the AI, which is a good thing for you. Why do you even waste your time on those? Right? You should focus on more variable things in the world,
Yeah.
right? So
I
yeah,
love that you had mentioned that too, and I'm curious if you could even speak to the specific case you brought up earlier, where the researchers were like, "Whoa, this can do what we can do. It can do it much faster, much quicker." How did their work evolve? Like, what are they focused on now? Is their role just entirely different? Are they working on more of a strategic level? Like, I'm curious how that actually evolved with your people.
yeah. I think okay. So and again, like we stick with our vertical. So I cannot speak
Hmm.
for other verticals, but in our verticals, okay. First of all, another fun part of our sector is cybersecurity and fraud detection. Is really the bad guys are using AI as well. So we
Yeah.
published an annual report last month. There's $4 billion of crypto fraud that are using AI, like the
Wow.
Bybits and all these different video, deepfake audio, and even like using LLM to like to exploit your smart contracts or to 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 like a phishing emails and all that, right? So and also the law enforcement, like they are sitting on like more than 50,000 of all these cases, right, reported by the U.S. citizens and all that, right? People got hacked every day, every moment, okay,
Yeah.
and they got scams and all that. So and the hackers are using level up their skills with all these different AI, generative AI, and large language model, right? So I think so. What we're seeing is we try to automate a lot of those detection and investigation, right? So back then you have to spend, like I said, for example, you spend a couple people and months to get down to the results of hey, this is how the hackers are doing that and
Hmm.
all that. So what if you shorten those to minutes or even hours, right? So you can do more. Like remember, I told you like the law enforcement is sitting on piles of more than 50,000 of those cases.
Yeah.
Okay. And also the intake side of it, because the hackers are using AI, and you know what? They're winning with that right now. So like they can scale out their phishing email and all those
Hmm.
a lot more effective, right? So we have to
Yeah.
level up on the defense side also. So and then that's again, right? We speak to our vertical. So you will never get bored when you are in this vertical because we're fighting with the adversaries every day. And they're
Yeah.
coming with
Wow.
new ideas. Like, yeah, this new one we're dealing with is about ransomware. It's called a click fix, the click fix malware, and it's intriguing, right? So because everybody can fall into that malware actually. So it's called click fix. So you would pop up a window and then hey, Nico, um, the your computer has some issue. Click this button to fix it.
Uh-huh.
What would you do? You would click, right? But when you click, what it does is something totally legitimate. It's copying some piece of code into your memory in your pasteboard,
Okay.
And then the second screen. Okay, good. Now prove you are human by press 3 combo keys like Command R, Control V, and A enter. So you just what you just did is you copy the malicious script in your memory, your computer, and then you copy paste into the execution window,
Yeah.
and you are letting that malware run. It's you
Wow.
are doing all that. And then
Wow.
the hackers are using like some of the blockchain as their C2, the command and control infrastructure. And this is something we
Sure.
are investigating recently, right? So think about all
Yeah.
these crazy things are happening. We need to level up too with all this
Yeah.
detection and investigation.
I love that
Yeah.
you said we have to level up too. Is that the best piece of advice that you could offer to somebody, maybe somebody who is scared that AI will take their job? Leveling up, trying to figure out how to use AI. Going back to what you said earlier too, just about
Mhm.
what is the problem? What is the impact that I bring to this organization and how can we scale it with AI? So if somebody was looking to get started, where what would you suggest, where would you suggest they start on their AI journey to figuring that out?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. Let me think about it. I mean, start with something that you are passionate about, right? It could be a digital marketing, could be anything, could be cooking, right? And start with that, and then to see, and I think you should definitely use like ChatGPT or Anthropic or all these AI chatbots. Right? And now it's a lot of them become free, although they may send you show you ads now. But so yeah, start using those and just to see, like, yeah, I think 9 out of 10 you would be impressed, like how smart these systems are, right? The people are moving away from Google. Google, I still use Google, but for specific search, right? A lot of things that involving a lot of cognitive tasks or thinking or summarization and all that, I would go straight to the ChatGPT. So,
Sure.
or
Yeah.
Anthropic, the same thing, right? Or Google Gemini. It's good that now we have so many different options. And even, yeah, if you want to run and deploy your own private LLM, there's ways to do that using the open source LLM also, right? So start with something that you're passionate about, and then just to see, yeah, just try it. It costs you nothing to ask them question, right? To see
Sure.
what and to see if you're impressed, right? So yeah, and then if you really seeing the delta, right, in there, then I think start learning, right? Learning. And again, like my all my opinions are biased because I come from the academic training of the machine learning and AI. So I know all the theoretical side of all this mathematics. It's all mathematics at the end, right? Transformer, it's not a human. It's a whole bunch of equations and, and calculations on that, right? But it's smart enough to fool you these days. But yeah, so I mean, start with the problem, start with the passion, and to see if you can bring value to your life, right? So yeah, and if
Yeah.
you are in your doing your job, right, in the professional setting, try it. If you are a software developer, man, you gotta use those AI tools. I don't I doesn't okay. I don't recommend you to push those straight into the production. That's not what I'm recommending.
Sure.
But you should at least see, like, hey, you should at least try to use it, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's I mean, figure out a way to help your work more efficient. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
I love that.
advice. Yeah.
Fantastic, and I love that too for the individual contributor. I'm curious for any leaders out there, for any CEOs, any presidents of companies, if they were looking to try to make their organization AI ready, what are some guardrails or things that you would suggest to them, just for the organization as a whole?
Yeah, I think I really like the what the your CEO, right, Jennifer Smith said, right, start with the problems and all this. It's and then we actually we've been practicing the same principles there. Start with the problem, and but also another thing, another big one is just to you have to, as a leader, you need to understand the limitations of those AI models. Okay,
Yeah.
there's so many problems. Like yesterday, this Meta AI director was open code. Have you heard about that news? Like,
I saw,
right,
yes.
the open code just went out of control. It delete all the email. And why? I mean, a lot of friends reach out to me. Hey, Victor, what's going on? Why would they do that? My open cloud bot works fine, but why yours went into so much problem? Context window. very technical thing. Context window, because I haven't seen the environments and all that, right? The setups and all that. But my theory is when that, again, that's the entire LLM transformer model. So you start putting prompt to tell it, hey, do this, do this, do this, right? So what they did is probably they put out the safety guardrail is probably like those prompts that you put into the system first, okay?
Mhm.
And then when you run the LLM4 model, there's a very important concept called the context window. So usually it's like 200K or up to 1 million, like Gemini has 1 million token. That's a lot of data, by the way. But then when you automate this whole thing, it's basically scanning all the emails, right? So then the LLM start to forget that safety guardrail out there because being pushed out from the context window.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Okay.
my theory. I think that kind of makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've been using OpenClaw for months now, right? So I never run into that issue, but I put it in my customer setup, and we publish a blog how you can deploy an EC2, so you have a environment that it's not touching your personal data, and you only
Mhm.
feed the data that it needs, right? So, but anyways, unfortunately, that victim, right, had to rush back house to the home and unplug the Mac Mini before it did more damage. So the point, all this is understand all this technology, the security side of it, the risk side of it. All this technology has limitations, right? The suffer from hallucination, and this particular one is the context window. So yeah, and there will be a lot more. Like one of the topic that I try to avoid is the AI ethics. If you are following the news right now, I think the Anthropic CEO was in Pentagon yesterday to answer those tough questions about what is more important, is AI ethics or national security? Those are very difficult questions, right?
Yeah.
So, well, as a leader of a company, depends on what sector you are in. So yeah, we're living in this very interesting time of the history that technology already came out, and there's so many unanswered questions out there, right? So
Yeah.
as a leader, you need to figure out the limitation of technology, and yeah, how do we put those guardrails in there and think about the risk, think about the downside, right? But I
Yeah.
think one thing for sure is don't get scared. It's just another technology. Just try to embrace it, to use it in the right place. And we're here to help, right? So we got asked so many times, hey, how do we put this agentic AI together and all that? And a lot of some of the new customers actually they have nothing to do with anti-money laundering. They just came to me and came to our team and say, hey, can you help us build out this agentic AI or give us some guidance on building all this, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're here to help, right? And I think so learn the limitations so you really truly enjoy this technology. So
Awesome.
and
I love
it's
that.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I love too that you brought it back to that context layer. I think that to me, my biggest takeaway is really, if you don't want Claudebot to delete all of your emails, make sure that you don't push out that safety piece from the context window for
It's
them to
hard.
just,
How do you
run.
even do that, right? How do you even do that? Think about it. How do you even do that? So, and then this is, and then a little time is called the survival bias, right? You know it because
Mhm.
now people told you, right? But there's
Sure.
1,000 other unknown risks out there. Okay. I think sticking with fully understand the technology side of it is going to help, right? One of the solution is like putting in a very strict system prompt. That's what we're doing.
Mm, okay.
Putting a very strict system prompt, and I mean the MCP servers and all those, right? It's going to consume context window, and now there's a skills that Anthropic came out, right? So those are optimizing the context window, helping you better use those context window of each large language model, right? So those are
Yeah.
very like, and look, skill. It just came out like a couple months ago. You're talking about like this technology just came out like very recently. Even OpenClaw, right? It was like what 3 months ago they get to that the
Yes.
mainstream is really a few weeks ago. right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you gotta keep up with all this.
Yes, that's a great piece of advice. Is just keep up with it all. Like you would even mention in the beginning that every day you have to see what's new and what are the new advancements. And
Oh,
I think
crazy. Yeah.
as we're just moving in this like exponential direction where you probably saw all the news too about the announcements that we're reaching this point where once AI is going to be able to start improving itself and it's going to be able to
Oh,
start
singularity.
getting better. It's
We are already. If you read very carefully what Sam Altman and his Codex team does, right? The Codex
Mhm.
is their AI coding agent. I think what they say is 90% of that Codex was written by Codex, but written by AI. So AI is writing an AI copilot. Just think about it. AI is already happening. It's already
Wow.
happening. Like in Silicon Valley, we say the future has arrived, but it's not distributed evenly. It is already happening. Think about read between the lines. What does it even mean, right? Well, your codex software is written by another codex, and just think about the derivatives. What's going to
Yeah.
happen, right? So
Yeah.
it's happening already.
All right. Yeah. All we can do is stay informed, stay up to date, figure out what problems are out there, what the impact you're bringing to people is, and figuring out how to pick the right tool for everything and
Yeah,
how to
and
build
and
something.
sign
And
up to the live podcast,
there you
like
go.
this one.
I like that. I like that. That's great. This is where the real insights are happening. I love that. That's Victor. That was fantastic. I've got a few quick little fun questions here to wrap us up too, because I understand we're near in time. So I just wanted to again
Yeah,
thank you very much for your time today in the conversation. It was absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate all the insights you were sharing too, and I've got some fun questions to play us out with too. So I'm curious. So when you think about your role in 5 years from now, what do you think what's one responsibility that AI will absolutely take over? What's one thing that AI will never be able to touch? And what's one thing that AI will really help and augment and create that partnership between humans and AI?
ooh, along this kind of long form of questions, I think one thing that the AI will replace is definitely like the things that could already being automated, like repetitive steps, and you should hope that also, right? So you can focus on more high value one. And the things that AI could not or should not replace is building the human trust, rappers, and all that, right? Like for
Mhm.
example, sales. I mean, I know like people argue with me that, oh yeah, this is like SDR is being automated. The sales development representative is one of the jobs that send out email and all that. But you know what? The best salesperson is all about building relationship with the customers and all that. And you know what? It's funny that even kids hate the AI generated results. They will say, oh, you're sending me this AI generated things again, right? We are really, as a human nature, are against all this AI we want to build a true relationship with another human being. So,
Mhm.
and I don't think you should delegate that. Like spend time with your customer, spend time with the people that really matter, right? And yeah, I think that I don't think AI should or could replace those. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. I love those. That's a fantastic take. Thank you very much for sharing that. I think that's a big part of it too. It's very similar to what Hori mentioned as well too in our first interview in the optimization era. She was mentioning that human touch and that human taste, and there's always a certain level of agreement that needs to happen. That you yourself would need to come in and validate something that is true, or yeah, as the expert, make sure that even if it has data, it can still sometimes say something that probably isn't right, and maybe you need to go in and fix something too. So I love and I appreciate that.
And one more thing, the one other thing I can add is consider AI is a Iron Man, as an Iron Man suit. Okay, it's making you as a human stronger, can do a lot more. But it's not trying. Don't let it control you. All right, it's an Iron Man suit. Okay, that's probably the biggest takeaway. And you always have to stay on top of it, right? To figure out, hey, is the AI doing the right things? Because it make mistakes, the technology, right? What do you expect? It understand the limitations. But I think once you understand all this risk, that's where the opportunity for you and your business and your life, right? Those will happen. So yeah, it's your Iron Man suit.
Iron Man, there you go. It's your Jarvis. Everybody is Tony Stark. Everybody can take down Thanos. This is beautiful. This is fantastic. Awesome. Well, Victor, thank you very, very much again too. I really do appreciate all of your insight today. And thank you to everybody who's tuning in and who will be watching this later as well too, to figure out how you can improve how work gets done in the future. And a lot of these things that you had mentioned too are very timeless too. So I hope that everybody who
I
is
hope
listening,
so.
who will be listening, of course, yeah, is staying up to date with what's going on, is to making sure that
Yeah,
contextual layer is always up to date, making sure that you are using the right tool for the right problem, understanding what the problem is. There's a lot of incredible takeaways here today too that I think can broadly apply to any industry. So I want to thank you very much too for being able to just take all the information from you work in a very specific vertical and you work in a very specific industry too, but all of what you've said is very applicable to most people too. So thank you seriously so much for sharing what you know.
cool.
I really do
Thank you.
appreciate it, and I know a lot of folks do too. So thank you all very much for tuning in, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day, great rest of your week,
Cool.
and take care. And enjoy your Iron Man suits. Go play with AI today.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you. Take care. Have a great night. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.